Welcome to On the Couch Podcast. I am your host, Troon.
And I'm Janu Chabla.
Now we're going to do the second article from Ali Batista, this writer on the EliteDaily.com. This article is The Girls You Should Be Marrying. So hopefully you tuned in last week. You saw the article that we did about the girls you should not be marrying, aka the coke whores, the EDMs, the weird raver chicks, and a whole slew of women that Ali knows that I want to tap into her social network because it's an interesting assortment of women. But anyway, so let's get into this one. Hopefully it won't be as weird. Hopefully we can identify more with these girls and we know them. So let's get right into it. Number 1, the best of both worlds. I'll spare you the entire couple paragraphs she writes, but essentially, here's the part that matters. Best of both worlds is truly what it means. It's a girl that will pig out with you on burgers and hot dogs, but still be so hot about it. She may even know how to play Madden. Madden is football, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know if you knew that. But it's a girl that will go out and buy beer and steak for you and your friends during man night. And there's nothing like being with a girl that is just down with everything. Absolutely. I think this is the dream girl.
Yeah.
I'd even go so far as to say that the dream girl is the one that can definitely doll up on date night Fridays, that can really sex it up in a great dress, but at the same time rock a jersey and actually be interested in it.
Yeah. I think, this sounds like a knee-jerk reaction of someone playing devil's advocate would be that, oh, this is too idealistic. Girls like this don't really exist. This is whoever has the best of both worlds. What do you mean? Actually, I feel like I know more girls that fit in this category than don't. I know girls who love to eat, who love to get, dirty with the burger. That sounds funny. Or girls that are really into NFL, and I don't know shit about football. So it's like I admire them because they balance everything. They can look so hot in a dress, go out on a date night, they can cook it up in the kitchen, and they love watching football. They love a good, steak night. They love it.
It's well-rounded.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Anything in your life. It's about balance.
Yeah.
Have balance with everything. Of course, no girl wants. And let's take the reverse of it. No girl wants a guy who's just like, my beer, football, Sundays. You want a guy who, feigns interest into going shopping and doing the kind of things you do, or the do-it-yourself at-home projects and stuff. You want a guy to be somewhat interested in that as well. You want a guy who's well-rounded. We want a girl that's well-rounded too.
Yeah.
Hands down, I think that's the most important thing. And that's why, but how do you cultivate that interest? Is it something that girls just have,
I honestly do. I think it is. I think girls that grow up with a very well-balanced group of friends or have really good guy friends, they become very comfortable with these perceived alpha male activities and they take an interest to them. Maybe not just guy friends. Maybe they have dated someone when they were young or in their early 20s that really cultivated this interest and showed them why football was so interesting or why basketball is so interesting. So these girls over time have gotten into it. So I feel like it's all about what kind of company does this woman keep? Is she the sorority girl that's all about the, shopping and the glam? Or does she just have some real genuine friendships with some guys and girls that keep her really, balanced?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then the second one on the list is the 30-year-old with the graduate school degree.
Ooh, smarty pants.
Yeah, so she's independent and she's the perfect alpha woman. The thing about a graduate of graduate school that intrigues Ali is that it meant more work and less partying. Not many people are willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money to further their education. She goes, I like a girl like this because you know that she's smart. You know that she has a drive, and you know that she'll keep you stimulated. She's the furthest thing away from a club whore you usually hang out with, and is most likely to blow you away. Mm-hmm. So that's smart. My thing is we're talking about a 30-year-old with a degree. Now, this is the little fine print that I have to add to this is I think you generally have to be a little bit cautious about anybody, male or female, in their 30s and not married or in a serious relationship. I think that is always, to me, a red flag that I tell people. Not that there's anything wrong. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, but you just have to look at the signs and symptoms. Did they just come out of a serious relationship? Because that's okay. That's totally fine. Have they been single for a couple of years? Okay, well now that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah.
If you're in your 30s, I mean, to be honest, you can't just say, hey, school is my whole life. That's why I've never really seriously dated anyone. That doesn't apply when you're in your 30s. It applies in your 20s. But when you hit your 30s, you have supposed to have been established a perfect balance between your social and your professional world by your late 20s. It's sort of expected that. Maybe even in your early 30s if you just were really off the beaten path. You just didn't get your shit straight in your 20s. But you have to be careful about that. Now, if she would have said the girl in the 20s with a graduate degree, that I'm totally cool with. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, counting all the way up. That's totally cool for me. I think a very educated girl is a great, great thing. That means she did spend less time partying. She knows she's goal-oriented. I think that's very important being in a relationship, to be goal-oriented. Having that kind of personality and not just going with the flow. Because life is all about, hey, we just accomplished this thing. What's our next goal? How do we get to it?
Yeah.
Financially,
Focus and drive
whatever.
and
Yeah,
ambition.
we just bought a house. What is our goal to furnish this place? Or we had one kid. When do we want to plan to have another one? If we want another one at all, you need to have a goal-oriented girl. And if that's the biggest quality about this girl, I think it's spot on. This is the kind of girl you need to marry. Especially if you're one of those retarded ass guys who aren't really goal-oriented, Your partner really needs to pick up the slack there. Now, if you yourself are very goal-oriented, great. Having a goal-oriented girl is only going to push you further. But there are a lot of guys out there that are just sort of aimless. And they have to find a girl like this. Otherwise, you're looking at a nightmare relationship.
Yeah, and you're also, this type of girl is, the more educated you become or the more qualifications you have, you're basically putting yourself on another, you're opening up yourself to another dating pool. So, you have an undergraduate degree. Studies show that relationships are successful when the woman has as much education or a little bit less than her man. Or, you can relate that to income potential too. So this kind of shows you that this girl, she knows that getting more education will make her more qualified, will give her better career opportunities, but it also gives her another level of men to choose from. Now she's suddenly, competitive with your salary. So she, a female dentist now can, marry a male doctor or a male dentist. You know what I mean? It kind of increases her, I guess, life resume, where it's okay.
I don't know about that. I have to disagree with you, and I have to disagree with you really just to play devil's advocate here. It doesn't put you in a better market. I think if we're talking about a man, it's spot on. A guy who's more educated, makes more money, has better opportunities open to him in that situation, and the kind of women you attract are on a different level as opposed to being a high school grad. But keep in mind, if you're a beautiful girl with a, high school degree or just an undergrad degree, you're still going to be well off if you're a beautiful girl. I hate saying that. I wish it wasn't true. But you're not excluded from the doctors picking you up at the bars or at Zumba classes and shit.
Right. But this kind of girl who's more educated, she's meeting more executives at work. She's speaking with the decision makers, the leaders in an organization. She has more exposure with those top tier people and FaceTime. So that kind of changes your network. When how they say you're as successful as the 5 people that you're closest friends with. Well, it's by association. So, if you are at this level where you're interacting with CEOs and VPs and directors, that's only going to, you're only going to get to that level if you have the qualifications and the skills. So this kind of girl can get to that level. So she's opened her world up to all these other people that probably would have never met her at FaceTime with her. So I like this in the sense that this is the kind of girl that is just, it's not a better level. I'm just saying she's opening herself up to
her social circle. She's expanding a social circle.
Yes.
So if you're only surrounded by the idiots at your work and work's not exactly the most stimulating place, then that's your dating pool. Because keep in mind, proximity is everything when it comes to dating.
If you're a doctor, you're likely to mingle with other doctors after hours. You go to school with them for 4 years, and you go into a residency program for 3 years. So the people end up being doctors. So it's
yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm not saying that if these professions have superior lives or love lives. All I'm saying is this woman is opening herself up to a different level, and for that, I think she realizes that there's some ambition behind that. So I appreciate that.
No, absolutely. I think that, and I think it's crucial for a woman like this push herself to succeed because again, you expand your social circle. If you're around CEOs, you're around CFOs, things like that. People that are really going to get it. That's where you're really going to find a likely companion, So I think you definitely have to look into academic venues or really just gung-ho at work to where you climb the ladder. Because if you're not satisfied emotionally and mentally from the people around you, you need to be able to expand your network some way. And we can talk about online dating, but to be honest, that is a grab bag when it comes to who you find. I think the sure shot way is your career. Expand it that way. 2, it's also a given. Like you said, doctors hang around other doctors, engineers hang around other engineers. You just have likes.
Yeah.
Similar likes.
Similar interests.
That's what it is. So let's go on to the next one. The girl who's got her own. And let's see here. Allie says, it's a girl who's completely independent. She wants you, but sure as hell doesn't need you. She's educated, has a job, pays her bills on time, buys all of her own shit, and completely takes care of herself and is more than happy with her life. You want to go out with your guys tonight? Cool. Do that. She'll call you tomorrow because she'll be doing her own thing tonight. That is actually very true. A girl like that is very cool. You never want a clingy girl. And I think a lot of independent people don't want clingy relationships, right? So if the guy is very like, dude, she's clinging on to me, this sucks. I've met so many independent girls that are the same way too. They're like, I don't want a clingy guy. I want him to have his own life. I have my own life. And when we come together, we make fireworks.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. And that's always a very careful thing because I think this part has to be tailored to you, right? So there are some people who like a clingy girlfriend, who need a clingy girlfriend. And if that's your shtick, then that's okay too. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong in saying, hey, I need a girl who's kind of obsessed with my life or who's kind of on top of it because I'm not on top of my life. Kind of almost like his secretary, in a sense, in life. Mm-hmm. And if a girl's okay taking that role, then that's fine, or even vice versa, right? So I know plenty of guys where the girl is the mastermind, the bread earner, this and that, and the guy sort of caters his life around her, caters to her. And if he's okay doing that, and she's okay receiving that, then they've established an equilibrium. And that's all it is. These relationships we get into with people, it's all about establishing the right equilibrium for each other. So this last category of girl to me is something that it's a hit or miss. And I think if it applies to you, it's great. If not, there's nothing wrong with it. Personally, me, I would love a girl who's got her own. If she's got her own yacht, I would love that. I would love that. I don't have a yacht. She's got a yacht. I got a plane. She doesn't have a plane. We come together. We rule the land, the skies, and the seas. Love it. What do you think about that?
Actually, I think this is a really idealistic point. I think a majority of them, most women you should have your own money. You should have your own, be able to pay your own bills, buy your own diamonds if you want, buy yourself a nice car, and don't have to depend on a man for it. I think, again, that really shows you that this woman can fend for herself and can,
Oh, agreed. When it comes to the money stuff, I think every girl needs to be able to make their own and learn how to.
But my problem with this, when I kind of think about it from the other perspective, is something that Steve Harvey has always harped on, is that, sometimes women put off such an independent woman vibe that in a relationship they inadvertently, end up emasculating their significant others. Mm. And so, it's not about, if you need someone in your life, that doesn't mean that you're weak. That doesn't mean that you're any less. But it's showing your partner that, look, these are the places in my life where I need you. Like, your presence in my life is important. I couldn't go a week without you. Why? Because you fulfill these things for me. Now, some people have a problem with the whole sentence like, oh, you complete me. And they're like, why should a man complete you? Why should a woman complete you? You should just be, you come together and you guys make each other better.
Yeah, it's synergy.
But I had to really agree with what Steve Harvey was saying because, this article that we're reviewing today, it's just so modern and forward-thinking, which is great, which is where we should go as a society. But let's not try to, reinvent the wheel here. Let's not try to reinvent our biology and the way we think. Women are very independent now, and, I think we've handled that really well as a society. And in relationships, but there's just something to be said when there are certain areas in your life where you allow the man to take the lead, or there are certain areas in your life where you allow your woman to take the lead. Like, you need to show each other that you do need each other, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are weak or your spouse is weak. It just means that this is why a man and a woman come together and have a life,
Well, yeah, no, I agree. And when I was talking about the female being strong, I was talking about it from an emotional standpoint. The money thing I definitely think is on point. I think she needs to be able to stand up on her own 2 feet. That's just a human being's journey to growing up, from a girl transitioning to a woman and a boy transitioning to a man. But when we talk about the chemistry that 2 people have, a lot of times what I have noticed about these really alpha females or alpha males is that they're really fully sustainable on their own. But here's what ends up happening when you get into a relationship and you find someone that is the one, right? We're kind of talking a little bit idealistic. You realize there were some things that you were lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you were single, you didn't have that person in your life, you're like, I am fully content. I'm fully happy. I know I have felt that many times in my life as a single person that, hey, I don't really need to be with a woman, or I don't need to be with someone else. I'm actually good on my own. I'm perfectly happy. I have a great circle of friends. I'm stimulated academically. I'm stimulated emotionally by the friendships I have. I don't really need it. But when a woman does walk into your life, of course, she brings her world into yours, and then you start to notice qualities, personalities, some aspect that you never had before that you're like, this enhances my life. Not saying weaknesses, Say that when the person was single, it's not that they had weaknesses, they just had a piece missing that they didn't know was missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a perfectly great car running without a screw here or there. Doesn't mean anything, it's still running great, but if you put the screws in the right places, the piece becomes whole and it works better.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. It's the same thing with a woman, right? So a woman, and I've met tons of these girls too, insanely smart, insanely sexy, and they're so good on their own. But when they meet a guy, they'll realize, hey, there were parts to me that were missing. I didn't know this. Or he helped bridge the gap between my parents or something of the sort. There is a synergy that happens between these two personalities. But what I think happens a lot of times is these single people don't think that they need anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that is just bad thinking. You got to keep your mind open to it. A lot of women are like, I don't need a relationship. I am perfect on my own. It's like, no. Keep your mind open to it because you never know what can come of it because it's about synergy. At the end of the day, you're not going to get married to someone if they're not taking you to a better place and you're not taking them to a better place.
Exactly. You need that challenge and that companionship and that, that just that love and friendship. And I think, but this article is, kind of saying that a woman that has her own and can hold her own. I mean, with the man, like, there's certain strengths that I have, interests that I have, that I don't want my man to be absolutely perfect and be able to hold his own and have his own, like, cooking skills or his own, like, art skills like I have or whatever. I want to be the one that wins at that game in our relationship. I want to be able to show him the ropes there. So in that sense, I didn't agree with the article necessarily, but I do see where they're coming from. I mean, women, we shouldn't have to be clingy. You shouldn't have to want, feel like, oh, I gotta call my boyfriend tonight, or I gotta call my girlfriend tonight, or she's gonna be really pissed. Right. You should be able to have your own life and do your own thing and be secure in that space, like, alone.
Absolutely. Again, it comes back to the equilibrium, like we were talking about. Like, if you want to run the kitchen, cool. If you want your husband to run the kitchen, have that equilibrium.
Yeah.
And that's who's best suited to you, is when you find someone who will do that give and take with you.
Exactly. Synergy.
Yeah, synergy. That is the big point. Synergy. So that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in to next week of our podcast, all right?
See ya.
Bye.